Abraham Wald was a brilliant Hungarian-American mathematician and statistician. He made a crucial contribution to the Allied war effort during World War II by identifying and correcting for survivorship bias. His work fundamentally changed how the military approached protecting its bomber aircraft, ultimately saving countless lives. My granddad, an RAF serviceman who served alongside US Bomber Command during World War II, never forgot the tense wait for the Collanders, a grim nickname for the bullet-ridden bombers that somehow made it home. He quietly understood that some of his friends wouldn't be coming home. Some bombing missions in Europe were death traps, with 10 to 20% of planes failing to return. Early on, surviving a full 25-mission tour was almost impossible. A horrifying 44% of airmen didn't make it home. So, would you get on a plane with a 20% to 44% chance of not returning? In the spirit of balancing our love for holidays with a healthy dose of self-preservation, I'd have to say absolutely not. After all, the goal is to enjoy the destination, not become part of its history. During World War II, military strategists were trying to figure out where to add armor to their planes to minimize losses from enemy fire. They studied the bombers that returned from missions and noted where the planes had the most bullet holes. The initial thought was to reinforce those areas, as they seemed to be the most frequently hit. However, Abraham Wald, working with the Statistical Research Group, SRG, at Columbia University, pointed out a critical flaw in this reasoning: survivorship bias. His insight was profound and counterintuitive. The data they were analyzing was only from planes that survived and returned. The bombers that were shot down and didn't return were missing from the data. Wald realized that the areas on the returning bombers that had a lot of bullet holes were the areas where a plane could be hit and still make it back. In other words, those areas were relatively resilient. Conversely, the areas with few or no bullet holes on the returning planes were likely the most critical. If a plane was hit in an engine or the cockpit, it probably didn't survive to tell the tale. The missing holes were on the missing planes. Wald's recommendation: instead of adding armor where the planes were most hit, the military should add armor where the planes were least hit on the returning aircraft, because those were the areas that, if struck, led to the plane being shot down. This primarily meant reinforcing areas like the engines and the fuel system. The military listened to Wald's statistical analysis, despite it going against their initial intuition. They applied armor to the areas he identified as most vulnerable, and as a result, plane survivability significantly improved, saving the lives of many air crews and preserving valuable aircraft. This story is a classic example of the power of speaking up. With a different, statistically sound perspective, can dramatically change outcomes. Don't just observe, be the change. Identify one area where your company can improve its speaking up or listening culture and commit to taking a step towards positive change this week. Your actions can help build a more psychologically safe and ultimately a more successful workplace.